Around the country, evening vigils to remember the victims of the Pittsburgh Synagogue shooting, gunned down in an act of hate. Audio from first responders captured the horror as police arrived on the scene. Police learning the gunman's potential motive to kill as many Jews as possible inside the Tree of Life synagogue. The shooting suspect has been identified as Robert Bowers, a man in his 40s not previously known to police.
The actions this person took today were hateful. This is the most horrific crime scene I've seen in 22 years with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Minutes before the shooting, Bowers allegedly blamed on social media a Jewish non-profit group for bringing immigrants to the United States. He wrote, "I can't sit by and watch my people get slaughtered. Screw your optics, I'm going in." Bowers' post also stated a dislike for President Trump, a feeling Trump made clear was mutual as he called for the suspect, if convicted, to face the death penalty.
We must stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters to defeat anti-Semitism and vanquish the forces of hate. And those seeking their destruction, we will seek their destruction.
Hate crimes against Jews and worshippers of other faiths are not new in the United States. In 2012, 6 were shot and killed at a Sikh temple in Wisconsin. In 2015, 9 African Americans were gunned down at a church in Charleston. A year later, 26 were killed at a church in rural Texas. Following the Pittsburgh attack, police around the United States increased patrols at synagogues and other houses of worship as Americans mourned.
It takes leadership to stop this, and our leaders are not stopping it. It's too much. We're a civilized society.
But the U.S. Anti-Defamation League says hate crimes against religious groups are on the rise, and the Pittsburgh Synagogue shooting now considered the deadliest attack on Jews in American history.
Human age reversal. We may be there already. Human studies are now ready to begin to confirm meaningful reversal of pathological aging processes. These clinical trials aim to alter older humans so that they function as much younger individuals. Even modest success will result in a paradigm shift that will impart enormous societal benefits, such as sparing Medicare from insolvency. Life extension is not standing idle while 5,000 Americans die each day from age-related illnesses. Joining us are physician scientists who want to hurry up these technologies to keep people from aging to death. While life extension is pushing these projects forward, we need financial help to ensure these studies are carried through to fruition.
Carrier asks, what does comfort mean to you? Is it a cool breeze on a scorching day? Or a cozy corner on a cold night? That every room of the house is as inviting as the next. And the air is fresh and clean for everyone. That humidity is where it belongs. At Carrier, comfort means more than just the temperature. And the people who invented modern air conditioning keep inventing new ways to make you comfortable, however you define it.
Find magic again. Sprout by HP. With Intel RealSense technology inside, now you can bend the rules of creativity outside.
was heartbroken and appalled by the murderous attack on the Pittsburgh Synagogue today. The entire people of Israel grieve with the families of the dead. We stand together with the Jewish community of Pittsburgh. We stand together with the American people in the face of this horrendous anti-Semitic brutality. And we all pray for the speedy recovery of the wounded.
Thank you for joining us. We are here today to honor the victims of the worst atrocity perpetrated against the Jewish community in the history of the United States of America. Seated with me here are Rabbi Denberg, and Rabbi Biston. A pleasure to have you with us.
The honor is always ours. Thank you for what you do for the Jewish community, sincerely.
Thank you, sir. How could this happen, Rabbi, in the United States of America at this time in history?
As I shared with you, that I'm going to say something politically incorrect. There is a sentence. It describes the relationship between the Jew, Jacob, the father of the house of Israel, and his brother, Esau. And the rabbis deduce from their biblical relationship, the ups and the downs, that there will be people, Esau, who will always hate the Jews. And the reason is because a Jew, conscious or not, is an ambassador of God's, which means he is a bastion of goodness. Might not be conscious of who or what he represents. There are people who are evil, and light and darkness are simply they cannot tolerate. It's not a matter of upbringing. It's not a matter of they had a bad experience with a Jew. There is good in this world, but it only has value because there is bad and evil in this world.
Difficult to comprehend, and I'd like to ask Rabbi Yankie Denberg to add your thoughts.
How this could have happened? As first of all, my father's a very wise man, so I wouldn't disagree with him. But hate is not logical. The Jewish history is full of examples of people that had illogical hatred toward the Jewish people. I mentioned before Haman. The Talmud describes how his hatred to the Jewish people made no sense. Hatred is not explainable, and if we try to explain it away, we're actually never going to be able to truly deal with the problem. We have to recognize that there is hate, and they will always be hate, and we have to always love. And that's the only way that we can move forward. If we try and change them, we're going to be running into a brick wall that will never disappear.
Rabbi Biston, your thoughts.
I echo the words of my colleagues, but I'll just add that in this world, the reality is there is a balance. And on the other side of good, there is evil. And as difficult as it is to comprehend that why a good God would allow evil in his world, the reality is that our mission is to try to overpower that negative energy with positive energy. And these are one of those challenging and trying moments where we have to stand up collectively as a community and as a nation to overpower this intense darkness with extreme light.
Israel is subjected to terrorism. In fact, the whole world is, largely. And Israel is held to a higher standard, which is a compliment we don't really need. But please explain to me this increasing anti-Semitism in the world, Rabbi.
Unfortunately, when there is a lack of leadership, a vacuum, it allows, as one of the rabbis mentioned this evening, it allows for this evil to fester. And we're noticing a breakdown in society and moral and ethical values, and that allows for this, for these, unfortunately, these anti-Semites and these those that perpetrate evil to come out of the woodworks. And for some reason, they are being tolerated today more than in the past few decades.
I happen to be the son of Holocaust survivors, and this is very personal to me, as it is to everyone else in our audience. And I'm wondering about Nazi Germany, a country of great culture, literature, science, art. How is it possible that such evil could be tolerated in such a country, Rabbi Yossi?
I'm going to answer your question by first addressing your previous question. I want everyone in the audience to understand that there's always two perspectives. In the language of Kabbalah, they are called Das Tachten versus Das Elyon. There is the way we humans can perceive, understand, and put into a box anti-Semitism and all of the other problems of the world. But there is at the same time, simultaneously, a Das Elyon. There is a higher truth and a higher perspective. The reason why there can be evil, and the reason why at this particular time there is evil, is because as the Jewish people move forward, like in a football game, as one team advances and they get right near the goal line, when do you throw up all your defenses? When you're in the 50-yard line or when you're on the 1-yard line? You know the answer. All of a sudden, when the enemy, the opposing team, is on the 1-yard line, all of a sudden everyone does everything they can to stop the touch goal, the goal, what do they call that? Touchdown. Football, I'm a Canadian, what can I tell you? We're on the 1-yard line. And we are at the moment of the greatest potential light, and all the forces of evil have come together and arrayed themselves. In this last century, more than any other century, more Jews have been killed in the last 100 years than in 1,000 years prior. Think about that. 1,000 years of Jewish history does not add up to the last 100 years. And we dare not drop the ball now. And in fact, concerning your question about Nazi Germany, and I mentioned Jacob earlier, there's a piece of Talmud that says that Jacob was afraid. And God says to Jacob, Al tira, do not fear. And the Talmud asks, what was Jacob specifically thinking about? And the Talmud says, the days when the empire, the 300 principalities of Germany would coalesce, and they would form an axis with Rome. And we're talking about Italy and the 300 principalities of Bismarck's Germanic Empire coming together. It is that which Jacob feared 3,000 plus years ago. These are foretold events. They are not random. They're not popping up because of a politician or because of a vacuum of leadership. That is explained in our puny minds. That's the truth.
I'd like to ask Rabbi Biston, how is it possible, though, that the cultured people of Germany, for example, could tolerate such evil in their midst?
Well, in regards to the first part of the question, Germany, it wasn't that they were tolerating it. They were actually those that were encouraging it, and they were participated in these acts of hatred and killing. The SS, the leadership, the Nazi Youth Party, they were part of that cultured society. And yet we know, as was mentioned earlier, that Esav sones Yaakov, that Esav, the arch enemy of the Jew, always hates the Jewish nation. And perhaps it's because that the positive energy and the light which we represent and we infuse in this world is simply something that they cannot tolerate. And the only way that they could deal with us was to get rid of us.
King David writes a beautiful verse in Tehillim, in Psalms, that from my enemies I become wise. If you look at what the Nazis did, what they did in Germany, they didn't differentiate what kind of Jews they were trying to kill. They didn't only kill religious Jews, not religious Jews, Zionist Jews, Reform Jews. Any Jew was a good target for them. And the same is true what happened in Pittsburgh. In fact, on Sunday, someone came to me and said something, it was a conservative synagogue, or I didn't even know, I didn't even care. It was totally irrelevant to what kind of a synagogue that the Congregation Tree of Life is. This person that came and said all Jews must die didn't say all religious Jews must die, or all conservative Jews must die, or all Israeli Jews must die. He just said all Jews must die. That was what the enemy is trying to do. Elie Wiesel said a very brilliant statement. Elie Wiesel said that the Germans searched out with hate to kill every single Jew, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe searched out with love to find and to uplift every single Jew. And so we have to learn from our enemies. Nazi Germany and this madman that came into the synagogue in Pittsburgh said all Jews must die. And our answer is all Jews must be loved, all Jews must be cared for, all Jews must be brought together into one big happy family.
Rabbi Denberg Yossi, please share with our audience your thoughts on the rise of anti-Semitism in general and how basically the continuous violence, terrorism and wars perpetrated against Israel and Jews, Christians, Hindus and other people worldwide this hatred. Share with our audience why this exists.
This is reality. We can whitewash it because we want to be politically correct, but it's simply the truth. As stated by the Bible 3,500 years ago, as valid today as it was when first given. You are trying to put into a box someone who is out of the box. You're trying to get into your mind someone who has no mind or operates outside what we call mindfulness. Hate is driven by an essential need of anti-Semitism. It fuels itself. It burns itself. It doesn't need an excuse. You're asking, why is there hatred?
I'd like us to continue, but we should really pause for a commercial break. We'll be right back. We are back with Rabbi Yossi and Yankie Denburg and Rabbi Gold.
That's such a good name for a law firm. Denberg and Gold.
Okay. Rabbi, I'd like to ask you your thoughts with regard to the ADL study.
I think there were many years after the Holocaust when anti-Semitism was kept underground, was unacceptable. The hatred was there. I don't think it ever disappeared. I think there's always hatred there. But it was not something that came out. I think of late, there's been a change. I hear a change in rhetoric going on, and there's much more anger. And all of a sudden, people who may have hated Jews, or for that matter, hated blacks, or hated immigrants, or hated whoever they hated, kept it silent. All of a sudden, people are willing to come out, and you're seeing this Jew hatred. You're seeing hatred of the other. Earlier tonight, I said that human beings have always demonized the other. Part of, I think, what Jewish tradition tries to teach is how to see the humanity of the other. But not everybody gets the message.
Oh, that's what Rabbi Gold said. He's right. When God made man, he said that man was created b'tselem Elokim, in the image of God. And people that have love, unlike those that have hate and that are beyond logical explanation, have to learn to focus on the godly image that exists within every single person. The problem is we become so focused on certain characteristics that are so external to the core of the person, who they voted for, what they do, where they go, who their friends are. We've all locked ourselves in our own little echo chambers, and we're not getting past the superficialities of what we've done in the last election, or who we like, or how we think that Israel should deal with the terrorists that are on their borders, etc. And we've allowed that to now cloud us from being able to see the godly spark that exists within every single human being. And I'll add, the moment that we do that, we're actually no different than the haters. We're no different than the haters. The haters are not able to see the godly spark within the person. And there's many very, very good people, very, very sincere people, that have become so focused on these superficialities that they too have lost the ability to see the spark within.
Rabbi Yossi Denburg, what would you like to add to that?
Difficult to add to such wise words. I think what's relevant to us, anyone who's watching, anyone who participates in real life, has to take all of our words and use a mirror to see where in our own lives we do not see people b'tselem Elokim. It's easy for us to say, oh, he is that kind of Jew, or he is that kind of person that votes right or left. We just really need, you can't just say, kumbaya, let's get along. You get along, as my son said, because you focus on a deeper truth. As long as we don't see the truth, the soul of every human being, that tselem Elokim, that image of God, and we focus on the externalities, we are always going to be at odds, and there will always be the other.
Tragic situation. We need more lucidity, dedication, human decency in this world. Rabbi, thank you so very much for being with us, and I can't reach Rabbi Gold, but
thank you.
But this concludes our special show for today. Thank you for being with us.
We remember Joyce Feinberg, 75 years old, teacher, researcher, a great intellect, as well as a very caring woman whose husband had passed away 2 years earlier. We remember Richard Gottfried, blessed memory, 65 years old, a dentist, was getting ready for retirement, would see many members of the congregation, no charge. Rose Mallinger, who now has become someone who we've all gotten to know, Holocaust survivor, 97 years old, who lived through and survived those who wanted to see her death because she was Jewish. And who would have thought, 70 years later, she would be murdered because she was a Jew? And the last words she would hear be, "All Jews must die." We remember Jerry Rabinowitz, 66, a trusted doctor, a confidant in many of the congregation. Many of the patients were from the congregation as well. Beloved member. The two very special brothers, David Rosenthal, 54, Cecil Rosenthal, 59. Remember them. They said that they never missed a service in shul on Shabbos. David was the greeter in shul, and Cecil often carried the Torah. They were never married, but they always looked out for each other and always took care of each other. And that's how Cecil was killed, running after to see what happened to his brother David. Bernice Simon and her husband Sylvan Simon, 84 and 86. Always looking to help, to do mitzvahs, to be charitable, and did so as a team. He was a retired accountant. She was dedicated to the community and served as a board member at Tree of Life. Their son had died in a tragic accident in 2010. Daniel Stein, 71. Passionate about Israel, passionate about the Jewish community, great sense of humor, loved playing with his grandchildren. We remember him today. Melvin Wax, 88, the first to come to shul, the last to leave. He ran the shul. Some said he was the rabbi without being a rabbi. As a matter of fact, it was when he opened the door to see if everything was quiet and everything was safe that he was shot. A retired accountant, somebody who'd been living in Pittsburgh for over 60 years. And Irving Youngner. He had just retired as a real estate agent. He was also a member in the Minyan, the synagogue that had rented space downstairs where 3 of the victims were killed. New Light congregation had 100 members, and they were not able to stay in their synagogue anymore. على كنفي عاشقينا بمالوي سكدوش متهايرم كزويها وراكي مسيرم اسني شماويس Bernice Sylvan Simon,
Daniela Stein, Melvin Wax, Irvin Younger, Joyce Feinberg.
When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful, a miracle. Oh, it was beautiful, magical. And then they showed me a world where I could be so dependable. Oh, intellectual, cynical.
Find magic again. Sprout by HP. With Intel RealSense technology inside, now you can bend the rules of creativity outside.
Human age reversal. We may be there already. Human studies are now ready to begin to confirm meaningful reversal of pathological aging processes. These clinical trials aim to alter older humans so that they function as much younger individuals. Even modest success will result in a paradigm shift that will impart enormous societal benefits, such as sparing Medicare from insolvency. Life extension is not standing idle while 5,000 Americans die each day from age-related illnesses. Joining us are physician scientists who want to hurry up these technologies to keep people from aging to death. While life extension is pushing these projects forward, we need financial help to ensure these studies are carried through to fruition.
Carrier asks, what does comfort mean to you? Is it a cool breeze on a scorching day? Or a cozy corner on a cold night? That every room of the house is as inviting as the next? And the air is fresh and clean for everyone? That humidity is where it belongs. At Carrier, comfort means more than just the temperature. And the people who invented modern air conditioning keep inventing new ways to make you comfortable, however you define it.
This concludes our special show for today. I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.